voting, we vote by roll call, and when you're making a motion, I ask that you try your best to state your name, the maker of the motion, state your name, and the person seconding the motion, state your name. And then more recently, the governor, with her last extension of the electronic meeting guidelines, is that she's asked that we state the location that we're in. So for instance, right now I'm convalescing in Grand Blanc Township. So that's what I'm gonna mention when I mention my name for a roll call. So with that in mind, I'll ask, we'll call the meeting to order, and we'll do our Pledge of Allegiance. If you'll join me, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Clerk, can you take a roll call of the board members, please? Kathy, we were calling for the roll call for the board members today. Oh, she's not on yet?
I'm just now getting on. Sorry, I had a bad connection.
Oh, I saw your name. I apologize. So I reminded everybody that when you call their name for roll call, if they would please state the location that they're in. Not your street address, just the town that you're in, please.
Mrs. Vert?
Present. Flint Township, at my home.
Mrs. Pfaff-Dahl?
Present, Flint Township.
Mrs. Anderson?
Present, Flint Township.
Ms. Miller?
Here, Grand Blanc Township.
Mrs. Funk, yes, Flint Township. Mr. Klee?
Present, at my home in Flint Township.
Miss Campbell?
Present, Flint Township.
Okay, we are all here.
Thank you. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda this evening?
The two additions were added earlier this morning, and that was I and J. And those were sent out to the board.
I have J and K. Would that be right?
Oh, I'm sorry.
J and K?
Oh, I have them by numbers. Oh yeah, J and K. I'm sorry.
And then I just wanted to mention, Kathy, that the board appointments are listed as number 13, but there's not a number 12. Can we make the board appointments L under new business?
That's the way it numbers it when we add a new section.
Okay.
So there's nothing I can do to change the system.
That's all right.
We don't number it ourselves.
Okay. All righty. I don't know what happened to 12, but we'll move on. If there's no additions, we'll move on to the corrections of the minutes from the December 7th, 2020 meeting. Are there any corrections for the minutes? Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Anybody?
Clee would so move. I couldn't get my mouth. Sorry. Clee would so move that we approve those minutes.
Does anyone want to
from
second
the
it?
December.
Campbell,
I'm sorry.
second.
That was Deb Campbell on the second.
Yes.
And since I didn't hear any corrections, I'll, Madam Clerk, roll call please on approving the minutes from the December 7th, 2020 board meeting, please.
Are these for the regular or the special? Because we have two different.
Yep. This is a regular.
Okay.
This is the regular.
All right. Okay. Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Mrs. Pfaff-Dahl,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funcast, Mr. Clee,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And then a motion would be in order to approve the minutes from our special meeting that same evening, December 7th, 2020.
Clee would so move as well to approve that second series of minutes from the special meeting.
Is there a second?
Bastow supports.
Thank you. Any corrections? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, roll call please on approving the minutes from the special meeting from December 7th, 2020.
Mrs. Bastow,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funcast, Mr. Clee,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Vert.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. So we'll move on to public comment. If you would like to address the board, I'd ask that you'd raise your hand so that, and I have to go through here and bear with me, but you'll be given 4 minutes to address the board and we'd ask that you'd state your name. You don't, I guess it'd be nice if you'd state your location, but not your address. I'm looking through everyone on Zoom and I'm not seeing anybody wanting to address the board. I see the marks are right side up. Do the
John Whiteside's waving at you.
John Whiteside, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I would just like a couple minutes, a couple seconds here, actually. I just want to thank the township board and all the staff. This has been a real trying year with the pandemic and everything. And we appreciate everything that you guys on the board and all the staff does at the Flint Township offices. And wish everybody a happy New Year, Merry Christmas, and Happy Holidays. That's all I got.
Thank you very much, John. Now, I saw Mary Beth Seward smiling. I wasn't sure if she was hoping to. There they are. Were you wanting to speak, Mr. and Mrs. Seward? No, you're all set. So if I'm not mistaken, I don't see anyone else looking to speak during public comment. One last time. So do you see anyone?
Recognized comment.
Oh, I'm gonna. So we'll move on to reports. We'll start with my report. As I'm flipping through all those who have joined us, and we have a lot on the Zoom call tonight, I see that we have one of our newest county commissioners, Dominic Clemens, and we want to congratulate you, and we want to say thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
All righty. I don't have anything else in my report, just that I wish everyone a Merry Christmas. We just, Hanukkah just ended, and I hope everyone had a happy Hanukkah. And I can't think of anyone else who might be looking forward to a new year more than me, my husband. But I'm wishing everyone a happy new year and enjoy the time that you have to spend with your family. That's my report, Madam Clerk. Do you have a report this evening?
I just have a real short report. I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I second that. I hope that 2021 is much better than 2020 has been to everybody. And we're always up for elections, but I hope that 2021 is a little bit kinder as far as elections go. And also, I want to thank a clerk. I have no idea who it is, but there's a clerk out there somewhere in Michigan who nominated me for the 2020 Clerk's Honor Roll. And I was nominated, and then I was placed on the honor roll with 200 other clerks from across the state of Michigan. I believe there was only 4 or 5 from Michigan who made it. And I don't know who it was, but it was a peer, and I just wanted to thank them for the confidence and support that they showed me by nominating me for that designation. And I always say that I'm only as good as my team. So if I could divide the certificate and the pen up into 3 or 4 pieces, I would share it with Deputy Clerk Angie Tygeson and with Jackie Forrest and with Ashley Johnson, who for the board members' information, she did turn in her resignation to me on Thursday, and she'll be resigning effective December 31st, 2020. And we are sorry to lose her. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, and congratulations. Madam Treasurer, do you have a report for us this evening?
No, I do not have a report.
I'll move on to trustees. Are there any trustee reports? I'm trying to find everybody. I'm going to call on you. Since I usually call on the women first. Trustee Clee, do you have a report this evening?
Oh, no, I thought you were good. I was thumbs up. You were going with the ladies first.
Started with you.
All right. I want to just reiterate what the two of you and Kath both said. Special holiday wishes to everyone. I don't want to skip a holiday, miss a holiday as you know, we could possibly do at this time. I appreciate every one of you folks, excuse me, for being in this room, if you will, electronically. And for those of you that are there when we're there. And I'm looking here and the marks, the C words, the white sides, they're always there. And that's appreciated. You guys are staples. Or Office Depots. I don't want to reflect you, but it's important. And your comments, whether they be pointed or they be strong, either way, it's important for you guys, and it means a lot to me in here, and especially at this time. There's a lot of crap going on for all of us, and I want to reiterate. That's a hell of a word. I want to say it. Just thank you. Across the board, all of you, if I could reach in and give you all a big old hug, and I hope you like this. This is probably one of the gaudiest, ugliest things you've ever seen. But you guys, I've been going to therapy for my neck and shoulder, not this thing. And for the last 6 days, I've worn a different t-shirt, and I wore this one today. And there's an older gentleman, and pardon me if there's anybody in this room that's in that age group. He's 75. And he has worn a different one every day as well to therapy at APTC in Grand Blanc. And today I walked in and he's like, he shook his head and he pulled his shirt off and he had bells all over his. So we kind of were in comparison. It's important that we do what we have to do right now. And that's it. I'm done. Thank you. Appreciate you. All of our support people. One more. Sorry. Jerry Preston, you're never on camera. Terry, you're never on camera, but the two of you, this stuff wouldn't go without the two of you. And Terry and Jerry, appreciate it. And Jerry, all of your work with National Night Out, I look forward to this August and we can have some more fun in the sun. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Trustee Clee. Are there any other trustees? Trustee Theftal, do you have a report?
Not unless you wanted me to do the planning committee report.
I'll come back to you.
Okay.
Trustee Vert, do you have a report this evening? Where is she? I'm trying. Is that a no? No report? Trustee Campbell, do you have a report this evening?
Well, to keep it short and sweet, I did talk to the gentleman that's part of a board that's looking at Baker College. So I was going to talk to you and to Tracy offline a little bit on it's the beginning stages of maybe. How's that for vague? The beginning stages of maybe. So yeah, that would be pretty awesome if it came to fruition.
Very good. Thank you. So we'll move on to our department head reports. Chief Salter, I saw you on here somewhere. How could I miss that? All that hair on your face.
Debbie Campbell, the new trustee. Yeah.
Yes, I do have a little bit of hair on my face. I'll try to make my report pretty brief. It looks like we have a long meeting tonight. For the police department, they took over 1,000 calls for service, which is about 74 average per day, which is down, which is always good. And as you stated, the PD, we're still in the middle of our Beers for Kid fundraiser. With the assistance of the Randall's Elementary Principal, Mr. Rick Callanan, Mr. Callanan, along with Officer Cheese and Sergeant Nemechek, delivered over $800 worth of gifts to a family in need in our township. So it was a shout out to them guys for that. It was hard work. And it's the second annual. So we're hoping next year we do a third annual Beers for Kids. Go to the fire department. Since December 7th, your fire department has responded to over 28 different calls. Of course, they do a lot more than that. I mean, with all the inspections they're doing now too, so they're staying busy. I want to take this time too to thank the board, the entire board, for the continued support of the police department and fire department. It's been a trying year, I think, for everybody, not just the two departments, but the whole township. So again, thank you guys for your continued support of us. And I want to wish everyone a happy holidays from the police department and the fire department. I am too looking forward.
And I see that Assistant Chief Raleigh is here at his first meeting. We're glad you're here. So I'm going to move on to Mrs. Tucker. Do you have a report for us this evening?
I don't really have anything to report. I do have a couple items on the agenda. I think I've sent everything to everybody, try to keep them up to date on this project on Flushing Road. And the first reading for that is tonight. I have been in touch with the attorney. There might be some small changes to that. We need to look into payment dates and stuff like that were not on the ordinance. So, but just to get the ball rolling, we put it on for the first reading tonight. We won't do anything final on that until the end of January. We do have 3 cases that are going to come up for Zoning Board of Appeals next month, and we have a couple of items for the Planning Commission as well.
Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Tucker. We'll go to committee reports. Carol, you mentioned that you had a report for the Planning Commission.
Yeah, at our last meeting, we did approve Dean Automotive. That's going to be a used car lot there, and it's next door to Bigby on Linden Road. The approval was conditioned from approval of the County Drain Commission. And other than that, we did also speak about Speedway at Elms and Corona Road, and we did approve there. They just wanted to add a proposed addition there. So that was approved also.
Thank you. Mrs. Tucker, there was a ZBA meeting recently, wasn't there? We need to appoint someone to the ZBA this evening, and so we don't have someone to give a report. Maybe you have an update?
I'm trying to remember, and I apologize. I've had a really trying week. So I don't recall right off the bat what we did at ZBA. I'll look it up. I can remind you when we get to the ZBA meeting. I will look it up.
Yeah, Tracy, and I know this probably isn't the time. We just heard the news of the passing of your father-in-law, and we send our condolences.
Thank you.
We'll move on. Road advisory. John, did you want to give us a quick update on the Road Advisory Committee?
Yeah, I can give you a quick update. We did have our meeting a week ago today, and we did that by Zoom. And we discussed several roads for next year, and kind of a carryover from last year's Dorallen and Bailey. Those would probably be the first 2 we try to get done. We're looking at some with block grant money. We're looking to try to do maybe a sections of Lavelle Road, possibly Mackin from Lavelle to the city limits. Some of that will be block grant. We're looking at, where the heck is it? Utley from Corona Road to Hogarth. That was actually planned a couple of years ago, but that was block grant money we were going to try to do that with. And we didn't have the block grant money at that time. For 50-50 projects, one of the ones we're looking at is by the Road Commission suggestion, possibly doing Graham Road from Corona Road to Court. These are all in early stages. We had talked in the past about some areas by Linden and Maple and that neighborhood, but those will probably get pushed off. really, Mike Pifer is going to go out and get estimates for us in our January meeting. We hope to have a list of roads finalized from those estimates that we can go ahead and take to the board in January. And that's about all I got.
Thank you, John. I appreciate that. So we'll go on to action or number 9, Madam Treasurer. Wait, you're on mute. You're gonna have to start over.
Sorry
Thank
about
you.
that. I'd like to make a motion that we pay bills in the amount of $733.06, and also to acknowledge payments of invoices and disbursements in the amount of $1,935,756.87 for a grand total of $1,936,489.93.
So we have a motion to pay the bills in the amount of $733.06. Is there a second to the motion?
Bert supports.
Is there any discussion or questions for Madam Treasurer? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call please on the motion to pay the bills in the amount of $733.06.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Klee,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Mrs. Pfaffdal,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Number 10 on our agenda is correspondence and informational items. Do you have any for us, Madam Clerk?
Not this evening, no.
Thank you. So we'll move on to old business, which is number 11, and the item under there is A, the 2021 Appropriations Resolution. And we've been looking at this for several weeks, and was given out 4 weeks ago as a draft, and a couple weeks ago it was brought to the board for a vote and it failed. And I know a few people reached out to the accounting department, spoke with either the controller or the assistant controller, and asked some questions. And here we are again before us, the budget for next year. A motion would be in order to move forward to approve the 2021 Appropriations Resolution.
Anderson would move that we adopt the 2021 Appropriations Resolution as outlined before us.
Is there a second to the motion?
Campbell, second.
Thank you. We have Controller Beth Takis and Assistant Controller Kevin McIntyre on Zoom with us. And if you have any questions, even at this time, they're here to answer those questions. Are there any questions? Any further discussion?
I have some discussion if others do not.
Yes, Trustee Klee.
All right, thank you for the floor. Please bear with me. I have a lot of paperwork here I'm going to look at. One of the first things that
Tom?
Yes,
Can I
ma'am.
interrupt? Who are you asking, or are you just making a statement?
I'm just, right now, I'm not going to direct this to Kevin or Beth. I'm just going to chime in with some conversation.
Sure.
And if all of you could chime in, I'd appreciate it. Lisa, thank you for getting us to discussion. That was appreciated so that we could go further on. First of all, and I know Karen, I'm going to start this not offensively, but I did start discussing last time about the BSNA software, and having done some discussion and conversation and looking back and writing a lot of notes, I have a lot of things that I wanted to bring up, and I'm just going to read my long list I have of bullet points, and you can see I have my notes. As you guys all know, I do. I write all over everything. I'm just going to read through my bullet points. Question is, so on the big scheme of things, is this a lot of money? Probably yes, probably no, in the big picture of the township and functioning. Second, A, does this really need to happen this year? 2, will this make a quote unquote major difference in multiple departments? How will this impact departments across the board is my next thought. What is our length of time without having to go ahead and and do this all over again as far as these software packages. And yes, I'm involved in around software, so I'm aware that things have to be upgraded. But we need to mute a few phones. There's some phones. Mike's iPhone is playing music, I think. Sorry about that. I could hear it, but what is our length of time again from this benefit? Next up, D, cost savings. Will this improve employee time? Transfer of files from department to department. Communication electronically with other departments, other municipalities. Will this impact that? Will it have a positive impact? Our efficiency, will our efficiency increase along those lines? Next, training and rollout. What's the best time frame? And if we're looking especially with a lot of things that are going to hit us in 2021, a couple of them being, how will accounting handle this in January when they've got year-end W-2s, payouts on personal time in January, all of these pieces that they're trying to finish. Second, B, February, the audit. We've got to start preparing for that. The audit occurs in March. And again, huge software implementation with a lot of training that's going to need to go on.
So Tom,
Thirdly,
can I interrupt?
Sure.
So we're putting the amount of money, the cost of that, the estimate in the budget now, but that still has to come to the board for approval in the next year. And there's a 4 to 6 month installation period that once, and if the township board were to approve it, it'd be at least 6 months, 4 to 6 months down the line once the board were to approve it. So just because it's in the budget doesn't mean that the township board has approved that expenditure.
I understand that. I understand that.
That should
And
answer a few of those questions.
well, that's true that. And, but I, like I said, I'm not against it. I'm not against it. I have some questions that I think we can get through these, and it would allow us to, then all of us to maybe make a better understanding or better educated guess on voting on this. Thirdly, we have Beth retiring in May, but thank you, Kevin McIntyre is highly versed in the BSNA software. So with Kevin in place, this can be a positive for us and working with that. So I'm looking at it and saying, well, how important is this and what could it do? Well, our sewer and water that we looked at back in October, and the selling points of that were the positives and how much it's going to make a difference. And it looks like that particular implementation is going to take place sometime May, June. If that's awesome. But if we're looking at implementing this software, and Karen, you just helped me with those dates, maybe we could look at implementing this July, August, September of 2021. And then it's after the audit. It gets us past all of that in that situation. Now, please bear with me again. I've got, should sometime, okay, Beck, I'm going to skip that piece. My next part jumps to this. And you stated that we may not be paying for this until later on in the year. Could we look at this being paid over a 2-year period? If we start the implementation in quarter number 3, July, August, September, could this maybe be a July 2021 to a July 2022 cost expenditure? Now $162,000 spread over 2 years is not as hard to take as it would be in this year. And it's after the audit, etc. Now comes the big one. And I'm going to say it, but oh well. Our departments cost money. Everything we do costs money. And our revenue stream comes from taxes. And we need to look at some other alternatives possibly to revenue streams within the community. Could this time, and please, sorry about it, but I'm going to throw it out there. Could this now be time to push maybe a little deeper into, and Karen, I know you looked at this a couple of years ago and even part of last year, into public assessments, a way of additional revenues coming in for the services that Mark Rowley, Charles Moran, I see Kevin, I see Brett, these guys, oh, I see Jonathan, sorry, that these guys offer to us, that maybe we look at the likes of the McLarens and the Genesis and the Hurleys, and other communities, other municipalities have a service fee. Maybe it's time we look at some service fees of a way to raise some additional dollars. Other ideas, continuous revenue streams, that's all that I'm concerned about. I'm appreciative and approve this. I like the idea. It makes sense. But could we possibly, and you've already helped me with it a little bit, so that maybe changes my mind to push it to July, August, September. Can we do it and look for some other fundings included to help these kinds of things happen a lot quicker? Thank you.
So you asked about the payment. I will tell you that the water software, the water department software that we're getting, it's been spread out over the 2 years because of how it falls in the calendar year. They have you pay in 3 different payments. So you pay a portion up front, and then you pay a portion in the middle and at the end. So that's a possibility. It's a matter of when this would come to the board for approval, and the timing for the training and for the implementation is they work with us however we need it, because I know that the audit's a busy time. And as far as revenue sources, I've spent a lot of time talking with department heads in the controller's office on expenses. I've spent time talking with Chief Salter and Mrs. Tucker on some revenue sources. And one of them was exactly what you were bringing up, service fees. So that's a conversation for another time. And it's a very important conversation though. So with that being said, I'll ask if there's any other trustees who have any questions or concerns or wanted to make a statement or anything.
Karen, thank you for your feedback. Sure. Appreciate it.
I have a couple things I'd like to say.
Yes, please.
Okay. One is, I've talked to you. I know that I've talked to a few other people. I've talked to Kevin and that. Have we thought about putting on anything like a hiring freeze right now? Stopping all overtime? And also no conferences, etc., and revisit everything maybe in 3 months?
So those would be things that we would take one at a time going forward. But those are things to look at, just as Tom mentioned, some things to look at. It's whatever the board decides to do.
Okay.
We've had a overtime freeze on non-emergency overtime before. So those are possibilities to look at, Trustee Burt.
Okay.
So the best thing to do would be, and we need to look at this, we can bring it up in our staff meeting, or we can bring it up, I don't know, we'll find a way that we can share these ideas with, we can't do it unless we're at a board meeting in a public meeting, but those are some things to look at, Barb. Any other comments?
I'd like to make a comment.
Yes, please.
It seems like looking at a hiring freeze maybe for 3 months could be beneficial. So I do agree, and maybe to stop overtime for non-emergencies, that could help financially. And I totally support what Tom said about having other sources of revenue. I really appreciate that idea. And I talked to Kevin after he told me where the revenue does come from, and there's not very many areas. So I think looking at a few things like that, both to save on expenses and to help with revenues, it makes sense.
Does that conclude your comments?
Yes. Yeah.
Treasurer Anderson or Trustee Pfaff-Dahl or Clerk Funk, do you have anything that you wanted to add to the conversation?
I just thought that we had already discussed conferences and there was, to cut the budget, there was no conferences going on, and that the overtime was just for essential for election time, and that's kind of where I was thinking.
So as you'll see down in the lower part of the agenda, there's a lot of board appointments, and that's because whatever we did as a board in the last term, I mean, a lot of that stuff needs to be either people need to be reappointed, or if there's a policy that we want to continue, we can bring it forward again at maybe starting in January. But I don't know if that would continue this year. I don't know if it was just for last year. I don't know if we would look at something quarterly and review it. So we can have that discussion as we move forward into 2021. Does that sound good? Alrighty. Treasurer Anderson? Clerk Funk, anybody?
No, I know at our staff meetings and with speaking with the accounting department with both Beth and with Kevin, our controller and our assistant controller, that we had the discussion that we would, beginning January, have ongoing meetings regarding the budget, that would not wait until it kind of got down to the wire before we started looking at it, that we would start to look early on and dedicate some staff time working on that. So that would be some dedicated time, and they both have assured us that that would be happening. So we will be looking at this. We kind of know what shape we're in, what's before us. We all know that we do, even though hopefully we'll be able to adopt the budget so that we can move on. We do know that as we move along, we will have to be very conscious about, the spending for this year.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, I've already cut conferences from my budget. I plan on paying for anything that I attend out of my own pocket. The only money that I left in there was to send Deputy Clerk Tygeson to her third year of Institute, which was canceled this year. As far as a hiring freeze, I'm going to be down an employee as of December 31st, which I have already been, but Jackie has been filling in. And so that's in the budget for that person. So we really can't run with just 2 people. It's just too much. And I know that we do have an election in May, which means that we'll start working on that in February, probably February 1st. So, and I also know that our overtime, even though we were slammed with almost triple the amount of absentee ballots that we've ever had, our overtime this year was cut way down. That's because Jackie and Angie worked so well as a team, and also because I came in on the weekends before the primary and before the election also, and worked so that I didn't have to call people in. And that's all I have.
Thank you. So we've all had a chance to speak on the budget. Is there anyone else who would like to add anything before we move to vote on the 2021 Appropriations Resolution?
I have one more thing, if I may. Pardon, hang on a minute. Sorry about that. I had to clear my throat. I just want, and I agree with some of the, some of the statements as far as the looking at. We already talked about conferences and some hiring issues, but I'm looking at I'm looking at my agenda tonight, and we're looking to hire a full-time firefighter in tonight's meeting. And secondly, so that puts us in 2020. And as Kathy mentioned, also she's going to be shot in the foot with that loss. So we need to just make sure that we can recover the 2 people that references to. I don't think that's going to be an issue, but I'm in agreement. We need to have a lot of discussion, and I'm in agreement to support the budget. However, if necessary, Karen, and I thought I don't know if that's where you were going, but to pull, if that's what it takes, pull that software package, or leave the software package and let us deal with it as they as we start working with it with a timeline, whatever it takes. Thank you guys for my long-winded.
So we have a motion by Treasurer Anderson and was it Trustee Campbell who seconded the motion on the
Yes.
2000? Yes.
Yes.
So if there's no further discussion, Madam Clerk, roll call please on the 2021 Appropriations Resolution.
I just have to apologize. My little helper that everybody can see. Oh, he's awake now. He was snoring really loud, so I didn't want anybody to think too it was me. Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, no. Mr. Klee,
Did you want us to come back to you?
With
Tom, we can come back to you if you want.
all right.
Madam Clerk, can you go to the next trustee, please?
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Vert,
No,
Mrs. Pfaff-Dahl,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Klee,
I respectfully vote no, but will
Alrighty.
I'll leave it there. Sorry.
We're all set. Thank you very much. So there's
Motion-
4 yeses.
yeah, motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. New business action item A is to hire a full-time firefighter. And I'm gonna turn it over to Chief Salter.
Thank you, ma'am. In the board's packet is me asking the board to hire Mr. Charles Moran as a full-time firefighter. He's been an on-call firefighter with us since 2016, and right now he currently works at Grand Blanc Township as an IT tech. By hiring him, he's going to fill up one of our 2 open budget positions. We went from 13 last year down to 10. We are currently at 8. This will make 9.
I move that we hire Charles Moran as a full-time firefighter position effective January 4th, 2021.
We would
And that
glad.
was Treasurer Funk and who made the
No,
motion? And,
I'm the clerk.
oh, sorry. I apologize. Clerk Funk.
That's okay.
And you made the
And-
motion and who made the second?
Cleve would
Pfaff-Dahl
gladly.
supported.
Oh, sorry. We have
Who
2
supported?
seconds.
Who supported?
Tom Clear, Pfaff-Dahl,
Carol.
Carol. And is there any discussion on hiring Charles Moran to be a full-time firefighter? And it was effective when, Chief Salter? I know it says so right here.
January 4th, ma'am.
January 4th. Any further discussion?
I just have one thing. Karen, can you explain why, if there, say there was a hiring freeze, why it would not, this would not be a part of that?
Because the policy is not in place right now. And also with civil service, when we ask civil service for a name, Chief Salter has done a good job in trying to maintain the lists of eligibility. Am I saying it right, Chief Salter?
Yes, ma'am.
They're usually, they last for 2 years. And so we tested for firefighters, entry-level firefighters. At our last meeting, Chief Salter asked us to approve allowing the supervisor to ask, was it our last meeting or a while ago, the civil service for a name, for 2 names actually to hire. And so here we are. At this point in time, we've gone through that process. According to Act, is it 78, Public Act 78?
Correct.
We need to follow through with what we're doing here. So we are going to proceed with this depending on the outcome of the board vote. And if indeed we looked at a hiring freeze, it would have to be a resolution that came before the board and voted on before any freeze would go into place. Does that make sense? Trustee Vert?
Oh, yeah, it makes sense to me. I just wanted you to explain it to everybody else.
Alrighty, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
One quick question. I wanted to
Yeah.
clarify with Chief Salter that, so right now we currently have 8 and normally we have 13 firefighters. Is that correct?
Budget last year was for 13 firefighters. For the 2021 budget, we're authorized 10 firefighters. We currently have 8. We got the assistant chief, a captain, and 6 sergeants.
Okay, that kind of answers my vote.
Okay.
Yes, okay.
Is there any other discussion? Trustee Klee, Clerk Funk, Treasurer Anderson?
Yes, I look forward to, I'm going to say, I'm going to support this, of course, as I do our police and fires, and I'm look forward to Charles taking the on-call tag off and putting the full-time on. I've seen him at locations and in his work, and the older guys, the more seniority gentlemen, I see a couple of the older guys out there, and but they have high respects for this young man, so I'm looking forward to it.
Great. Any other discussion? No, hearing none. Madam Clerk, roll call please on the motion to hire Charles Moran as a full-time firefighter effective January 4th, 2001.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Klee,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes,
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Mrs. Pfaff-Dow,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And
both.
I don't know if anybody can see, but Mr. Moran is joining us by Zoom, and you can see his face at the bottom of your screen. So where is he?
Can you hear me?
Hello.
Hi, Mr. Moran.
Hello.
Hi, Mr.
How are you?
Moran.
We wanted to say congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And we'll be seeing more of your face after the new year.
Yeah.
All right.
congratulations.
Congratulations. We move on to action item B is the 2021 poverty exemption resolution. You have the information before you and a motion is in order to move forward.
I move that we, whoops, go ahead.
Sorry. Go ahead, Ms. Funk. Apologize.
I was just gonna say, I'll move to adopt the 2021 poverty exemption policy and guidelines as presented to us by the assessment department.
Thank you. Is there a second to the motion?
We would
Anderson,
support that.
We're having ties here.
Sorry, Lisa.
You can have it.
So Klee supports. Are there any further discussions on the guidelines for the poverty exemptions? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call please on the motion to approve the 2021 poverty exemption resolution.
Mr. Klee,
All right. Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes,
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Mrs. Pfaff-Dow,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes, motion carries.
Thank you. Action item C is Genesee County Metropolitan Alliance dues. Madam Clerk?
Actually, we have you for this one, but I'll talk about it.
Oh, no, that's all right. I had you on here. That's fine.
Okay.
The Genesee County Metropolitan Planning Commission has a committee. It's called the Metropolitan Alliance. I guess that's the best way to describe it. And they ask for dues. It's in cooperation with the Road Commission, and we get funding through the Road Commission to come alongside and assist in funding on the local roads. They call it allocated dollars. In order to access those dollars, we have to be members of the Metropolitan Alliance, and the dues are $150. So a motion is in order to approve the dues for membership, and then further in the agenda, we're gonna choose the representatives.
We would so move that, having sat on that commission for 2 years ago.
Campbell
Is there-
second.
Campbell
Second.
seconds. Any further discussion? Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes,
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Mrs. Pfaff-Dow,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Clee?
Yes, ma'am.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Action item D, Madam Clerk.
Sorry, I muted myself. This is the 2021 Charter Township of Flint meeting dates, and I would move that we accept it as presented.
Is there a second to the motion?
Anderson supports.
Any further discussion or comments on the calendar to be approved? I just have wanted to mention one thing. During the Fire Retirement Board meeting, Jason McClanahan asked about more frequent meetings and how that would go about. So once we approve this, say in January, Kathy, are we able to add more to the schedule? That wouldn't be a problem, would it?
No, it would not be a problem.
Alrighty. If there's no further discussion, Madam Clerk, roll call please on the motion to approve the 2021 meeting dates and calendar for Flint Township.
Mrs. Burt,
Oops, sorry.
Yes.
Mrs. Pfaff-Dahl,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Clee,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. So we have, for action item F is the Community Development Block Grant. I'm sorry, let me start over. It's the 2022 to 2024 Community Development Block Grant pre-application. So you have the information in front of you, and the motion would be to approve the application, the contract for the funding years of 2022 to 2024 for $315,000. And of that, the food pantry, senior center food pantry would get 60,000, which is 20,000 annually. And let's see, I gotta blow this up. 1 second, I'm sorry.
We have to include the percentages too and with the motion.
I know I had to blow up the my screen because it's so
Okay.
small.
Okay.
Let me get back to that. So the senior center, which is about 19% of the funds allocated for crime and fire prevention in the amount of $15,000, 3,000 to crime prevention, 2,000 to fire prevention, which is 4.75% of the funds allocated. And for infrastructure improvements in the amount of $240,571, which is about 76.25% of the funds allocated. So a motion is in order to move forward on approving the these percentages for in the pre-application for the 22 to 24 block grant cycle.
We would move that we accept the 2022-2024 block grant as presented.
Is there a second, please?
Support. Pfaff-Dahl supports.
Thank you, Carol. Is there any further discussion or any questions?
I just want to say thank you for, if I may, I just want to say thank you for increasing the police and fire support in this, as we had discussed when we first brought this up. I appreciate that, and I know the gentlemen on both sides of that do as well. They've stated that to me, so thank you.
All righty, any further discussion? I'm not hearing or seeing any. Madam Clerk, roll call please on the motion to approve the 2022 to 2024 Community Development Block Grant pre-application.
Mrs.
Resolution.
Pfaff-Dahl,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Clee,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. We'll go on to action item F is the Community Development Block Grant Signature Card Resolution. So we already have a signature card on file with the county, and this is just to amend that. We have on file the signatures of Madam Clerk and Deputy Clerk Tegeson. We have Treasurer Anderson and her deputy Ms. Amadou, and then I'm asking to have my name added to be able to sign for contracts or whatnot. And I was given the information to bring to the board, and a motion would be in order to move forward. And this is adding one more name and not changing the other four.
We would support the addition of the supervisor as a signature card for the CDBG.
Is there a second to the motion?
Vert sports.
I heard trustee Vert first. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please, on the addition
do have a
of
question.
Yes, please.
Would your deputy need to be added to that as well?
We could.
Probably should.
So it was trustee Klee who made the motion. Would you add deputy supervisor also, trustee Klee?
I don't see where that would cause an issue. If Madam Vert is okay with that.
Are you good with that, trustee Vert? Where is she?
Yes.
Thank you. So we'll add Supervisor Miller and Deputy Supervisor Vert to the signature card. If the motion passes, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Klee,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Mrs. Pfaff-Dahl,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Next item is item G. It's the MERS update of plans. This comes to us from through Beth Takis, and it is at the request of the MERS. It's plan adoption agreement addendums for both of MERS defined contribution divisions and the 7 MERS defined benefit divisions for the township board's approval. The addendums are for clarification purposes only and do not change the eligible employees, benefit provisions, or includable wages. MERS intent is to clarify eligibility requirements as previously adopted agreement. The previously adopted agreements just stated the required number of days worked in a month to receive service credit, which could inadvertently make part-time employees eligible to participate. This is now clarified by stating the required number of hours worked and stating whether or not part-time employees are eligible and defining who is considered a part-time employee. Also, MERS is clarifying what type of leave an employee can be on and still receive service credit. Employees have always been given service credit in the past for when they are off on short-term disability or workers' compensation. Employees have never been given service credit for any types of unpaid leave of absences. So MERS is asking that we make these amendments, and a motion is in order to move forward.
When is it effective?
I would say that it's going to start January 1st. Is it the 1st, 2021? The first day of January, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on both of the addendums
Yeah.
under number 1 effective date.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay. Yep.
Any other questions? I'm not hearing anyone ask. So Madam Clerk, roll call please on, did we get a motion?
No, we don't have a motion or a second.
Well, we haven't discussed it then either. I need a motion, please.
I move that we adopt the MERS update of 2021.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
By Campbell?
Yes.
Are there any further discussion or questions? And now, since I'm not hearing or seeing any, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
I will add in that it's for both defined contributions and defined benefit plans. So who was the second? I'm sorry, I was reading.
Campbell.
Okay,
Campbell.
okay, sorry. Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Klee,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Mrs. Dahl,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. So the next item on the agenda is H, landlord non-responsibility affidavit deposit. Our controller, Beth Tack, is also, she oversees the water department. She's a director there. And when we have rentals, the tenant is responsible to pay the bill. But if they move out, that falls back on the landlord. And so in order to make sure that the tenant's paying and it doesn't always fall on the landlord, we offer landlord affidavits, which alleviates supposed to technically alleviate the responsibility of the unpaid bill from it alleviates the landlord's responsibility and it makes it the tenant's responsibility. And we have found that the current deposit is not large enough to cover unpaid bills. And so you see the request before you is to increase that deposit on these landlord affidavits. And a motion would be in order to move forward.
Can I ask a quick question on this?
No,
Is 1,500 enough? I mean, what is the average bill? Because I have no idea.
so it used to be, we increased it last year or the year before to 500. And we're noticing that it's just not enough. And I don't think that I think you'd be hard pressed to get a tenant to pay more than that large amount of a deposit.
Okay, so we don't know what the average cost is?
Of a water bill? Well, we bill residents quarterly, and an average bill I'm going to say is less than $500. So we went from $500 deposit to $1,000, and now we're going up to $1,500. I think that's incrementally enough to cover the bills.
So this doesn't include commercial?
No, it
Okay,
doesn't.
all right,
This is
good.
just for residential.
Yep, okay, very good.
That $1,500 would definitely cover 2 cycles. That'd be 6 months worth of water bill.
For sure, yes.
Okay.
Thanks, Fran. Yep.
Yeah. So we need a motion, please.
Dahl make a motion to increase the required deposit for the landlord affidavits of non-responsibility to $1,000 for residential customers and $1,500 for commercial water customers.
So I take that back, Trustee Campbell. I didn't think that we had landlord affidavits for commercial water customers, but I guess it would be in the plazas. So thank you for the motion. Is there a second to the motion?
Support, Vert.
Is there any further discussion?
Another time, should we look at having businesses separated from commercial? I mean, from
Well,
residential?
Our commercial water bills go out monthly. They're billed monthly, so that bill usually doesn't get too high. The
Okay.
residential is billed quarterly every 3 months. So
Okay,
yeah, 1,000 for residential and 1,500 for commercial.
okay, very good. Thanks.
Any further
I
discussion or
have a-
questions?
I have a quick question, because we'll probably be getting phone calls about it, so that's why I'm asking. The people that have landlord affidavits right now are not going to be impacted on this, correct? They're not going to be required to pay the additional $500, correct?
I think that over a period of time we can get them there, but if they're in there now, I don't think so. But if the place becomes rentable again, then we can, because we do have existing affidavits in place. So that I'll have to verify with Peter. But if we have a contract in place, I don't think that we're able to tell them we're going from 500 to 1,000 right now.
I would like to go back on that commercial piece and maybe look at maybe more than $1,500. Or we're just saying that the Genesee Valley only has to give us $1,500 to secure that?
So I'm going to find out how many landlord affidavits we have for commercial, because I never heard the conversation. We always talk about residential renters, but you know, you have the plazas where somebody might rent a place. So there is a difference in the residents when they pay every 3 months and the commercial pays every month. So if they're delinquent by 60 days, they get a shut-off notice for non-payment. So between Peter and Beth, they recommended this. So let me take a look at the number of commercial landlord affidavits that we have, and let's take a look at the delinquencies. If that needs to be renewed next year, we'll come back and do that. Do we have a motion? Do we have a motion? We don't have a motion yet, do we?
Yeah,
Carol,
Yeah.
yes.
yeah.
Sorry. Who made the motion, please?
Mrs. Pfaff-Dahl and Mrs. Burt seconded.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please, on the motion to increase the required deposit for landlord affidavits of non-responsibility to $1,000 for residential water customers and $1,500 for commercial water customers.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Clay,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Burt,
Yes.
Mrs. Pfaff-Dahl,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
motion carries.
So I will bring that information back about the commercial landlord affidavits. I can mention it in passing, not have to bring it back to the board, but if that's necessary, we'll bring it back to the board. Action item I is payment in lieu of taxes ordinance. Mrs. Tucker, did you want to talk about that?
Yes, so this is a project that is that we're working on Flushing Road, 2765 Flushing Road. We're working with Communities First. I believe that Glenn Wilson is on the line, and so is Michael, I believe, from Communities First. If you have any questions, it's a percentage. This has been done in the past. I believe we did it with Miller West Apartments when they first built. And I'm not sure if they did it with Flint Heights, but it's been a while since we've had one of these. So that's why we're working with the attorney on some of the issues. But we needed to get the first reading started. They, because of their working with Mishta as well for a grant for the project that I believe, Glenn, that has to be in February, right? So that's why we needed to at least get the first reading started.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. So if you have any questions, I know I sent the project out to everybody with a copy of the plan itself so you could see it. But if you have any questions for Mr. Wilson, he is on the line. At this time, there's no vote needed this evening. It is simply to introduce this to not only the board, but the public at this time. The vote would be taken after we finalize the wording, and that would be at the second reading, and that would be at this, I believe, the January 19th meeting. It's the second meeting in January.
And Tracy, between this reading and the next reading, if there's any changes, you said there's some things that needed to be tweaked.
Yes, there was the issue of the when payments would start, because it asked for a date or a time certain in the ordinance itself, and we did not have that verbiage yet. And Peter had a couple other questions that we need to address to Mr. Wilson. We want to look too at the ordinance that the city of Flint is doing for the project or the other projects that they've done, so that we're mirroring at least in some fashion, so that we're all on the same page, because this is a project that will cross borders. The property where they're doing this project, half of that property is in the township and the other half is in the city. So we're going to try to work with them to mirror it so it's not totally different. So we would like to see how they're handling it though as well before we make any recommendations to the board.
So is an ordinance like this in place at the city already, or they have to do the same thing with the city of Flint?
I'm not sure
Yes.
they've
So,
finalized it. Oh, go ahead, Mr. Wilson.
yeah, no. So the city has a standing ordinance, and what they do is they have to do first and second reading, but they just add it to their existing ordinance that the city already has one for developments like this. So they have a standing ordinance that they just amend every time.
Right, because each agreement has to be based on the project itself. So that's why I wanted to see what they were doing for this project so that we were somewhat in step with what they were doing as well.
And can you explain first, Tracy, once this is done, is it going to the planning commission? Who's going to be approving those plans, or is it jointly between the city of Flint and Flint Township?
So the part of the project that is on township property would be going to our zoning board of appeals for a couple of issues. And then if that passes, then it would go to our planning commission for review of the project. So final review of the project would be site plan wise would be of the stuff of the construction on Flint Township property would be at our planning commission.
And Mr. Wilson, if all the lights are green and go, what is your projected date of completion? What are you looking for? What do you hope for?
Well, I guess it's always the hope, right? Always dealing with the state, and depending on COVID, I mean, timelines have been changing right now drastically. But I mean, if everything, I would just say this, I always say as soon as possible is always our goal. But January of like 2022, probably around a construction start date. And then from there, probably 14 to 16 months. So this is not something that would probably open until, the end of 2022, mid, first quarter, second quarter, 2023.
You have a lot of hurdles to jump.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's definitely a lot of hurdles to jump, but this is what we do as an organization. We're very successful at what we do. Providing, great quality housing, mixed income, mixed use developments, that are attractive, but also are conducive to, the communities that we serve. So, it, definitely could use to support these pilots, allow us to get the funding from the state. And without them, then the projects just don't go forward because it's hard to plan these projects out that long because they have to stay under compliance for a period of time. So these definitely help keep the project, make them sustainable, to make sure you don't end up with properties that look like crap. And if you drive by any of our properties, they're very well maintained. We're very meticulous about that.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
would invite board members to go look at one of their projects is on Ballinger Highway between Beecher and Court Street. It's the Coolidge Park project. And I'm not sure, Glenn, what was the name of the project that's just north of Flushing Road?
Berkeley Place Apartments, which is right by the Bethel Church, which is just north of Flushing Road. That's on the west side of the road between right by Bethel United Methodist Church.
Right, and that's on Ballinger Highway as well. So
Mm-hmm.
I would invite members or board members to go look at those two projects to get an idea of the type of work they're doing.
Glenn, you did the Oak Street project. Was that the former Oak School? Did
Yes.
Community First do that?
Yep, we did the Swayze
Yeah.
Apartments on Court Street as well.
Yeah,
Which is just
from
a
the
block
outside,
of-
it looks great. I haven't seen it, but I'd like to see it.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
Any other questions for Mr. Wilson?
No, I just want to say, as somebody who is up in this area, that the project, the new apartments on Ballinger Highway, just north of Flushing, it's gorgeous and beautiful, as is the Coolidge place. I think that is, I mean, it makes that whole area, and I think it's going to bring up that area. So I think this is an exciting project. And I want to commend Mr. Wilson for what they're doing.
Thank you very much. We got a great team of people here at Communities First and our board of directors as well. And so we definitely want to do whatever we can to make sure that we're impacting communities in a positive way long term.
Anyone else? We wish you well. Good luck.
Yeah. Yes. Best of luck, sir. We'll push for it.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you, Tracy. We'll move on to action item J is the tentative agreement with Teamsters Local 214 and the Charter Township of Flint Police Department communication operators. Where's Kevin? You see the 4 requests in this TA, and who was on the negotiating team for this? It was it
Clee and
Tom
Anderson.
Clee and Anderson, and Kevin Salter sat in. So the ComOps have approved this, that they've ratified it, and now it's up to us to, if we want to approve it, now is the time to do it with the motion.
Lee would so move to accept the TA between the Flint Charter Township and Teamsters 214, that being the communications operators for Flint Township.
Thank you, Tom. Is there a second?
Anderson support.
Any questions or discussion on the tentative agreement? No? Nobody? Can't see everybody. All righty. Well, Madam Clerk, roll call please on the TA with the Teamsters Local 214, the ComOps.
Mr. Clee,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Vert,
No.
Mrs. Pfaff-Dahl,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes, motion carries.
Thank you. Action item K is tentative agreement with the Ask Me Council Local 25. Is that accurate? I thought they were local 1918-1, and down here it says local 25. But anyhow, it's also a 1-year contract, and a motion would be in order to move forward to approve this.
Funk moves that we accept the tentative agreement with Ask Me Local 1918-01.
Is there a second to the motion?
We would second that motion.
Any further discussion or questions on the motion to approve the tentative agreement with Ask Me? No one? All right, Madam Clerk, roll call please on the motion to approve the 1-year contract, the tentative agreement with Ask Me.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Vert,
No.
Mrs. Pfaff-Dahl,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes, Mr. Clee,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Now we move on to number 13. We have appointments to boards and commissions, and we'll start with number 1 is the zoning board. Let's see here. I want to mention that there's 5 members of this board. We have Roger Powell, whose term expires in 23. We have, we need to, Tracy, we need to reapprove him or reappoint him, and his term would end in 23. That's correct, right?
Right.
Yeah, and so we have Frank Castle, who would be an alternate, and his term would expire in September of 2022. And Trustee Tom Clee is willing to represent the board on the Zoning Board of Appeals. His term would expire November of 2024. A motion is in order to move forward.
Anderson would move that we accept the appointments as outlined for the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll support with a question. Vert,
Go ahead.
I would like to do these individually. I know we've done that in the past instead of as a group,
Okay.
if we could.
Yeah, I should have asked. Sorry about that. All right. So, do you want to do these one at a time now, Barb? We can do that.
Sure.
So we had Lisa Anderson and Barb Vert make the motion. So we'll go one at a time. This will be for Trustee Tom Klee. Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call please on approving Tom Klee to the Zoning Board of Appeals, term expiring 11/24.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Mrs. Pfaff-Dow,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Klee,
Yes, I was wondering if I should abstain. I'm sorry. I was just curious. But yes, thank you. Appreciate it.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
motion carries.
I look forward to supporting our board on that. Thank you guys for giving me the opportunity.
Sure. So motion would be in order to approve Roger Powell's appointment expiring in September of 2023.
I move that we appoint or reappoint Roger Powell to the Zoning Board of Appeals with a term expiring September 2023.
Is there a second to the motion?
Pfaff-Dow supports.
Any discussion? I'm not hearing any. Madam Clerk, roll call please on approving Roger Powell for the Zoning Board of Appeals, and his term would end in September of 2023.
Mrs. Pfaff-Dow,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Klee,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. We need a motion to appoint Frank Castle as alternate with the term expiring of September 2022, please.
We would support placing Frank Castle as the alternate.
A
Is there a
second,
second?
Funk second,
Any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call please.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Klee,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Vert,
No.
Mrs. Pfaff-Dow,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson. Oh, I already asked you. I'm sorry.
So that passed also.
Yes, motion
We go
carries.
to number 2 is the Beecher Road CIA appointments. We have 4 people who need to be reappointed. Does someone want to start making motions?
What are we at? Here we go.
I'll make go ahead.
Go ahead, Barb. I'm
Okay, we're on the Beecher Road. We're going to start with the first one. Make a motion for Patty Williams from Huntington Bank to a 4-year term, correct? April of 24.
Is there a second to the motion?
Anderson supports.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Klee,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Mrs. Pfaff-Dow,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. The next appointee would be Casey Bogat.
Anderson makes a motion that we appoint Casey Begat, reappoint as a resident for a 4-year term ending in April of 2024.
Is there a second to the motion?
Bert supports.
I have
Any
a,
discussion?
yes, ma'am, I have a question. Is that Bagat, is the L supposed to be there? If I'm looking at the doctor name, Brian is my doctor, and I've,
It's not the same one.
Okay.
It's correct. Balgat.
that's what I thought. It's not Bagat, it's Balgat. If it's not, I think it's pronounced, but I was just curious on the L. Thank you. I'm good.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Klee,
Yes, yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Mrs. Pfaff-Dow,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. I need a motion for Mr. Mick Goulet.
Clee would move that we appoint Mick Goulet as for his term as treasurer from Gaines Jewelry to the Beecher Road corridor.
Is there a second?
Campbell will second it.
Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mr. Klee,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Mrs. Pfaff-Dow,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes.
Last one would be for Clerk Kathy Funk as supervisor representative with the term ending November 24. A
Clee would
motion's in
move-
order.
Clee would move that we accept the supervisor's representative as Miss Kathy Funk.
Is there a second?
Support.
Campbell
Support.
supports.
Yeah.
Any questions? Any discussion?
Who second?
I think it was Carol.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sorry, I
fine.
think it was Carol.
If there's no discussion, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Mrs. Pfaff-Dow,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Klee,
Yes, ma'am.
motion carries.
Thank you. We move on to number 3 is a Bristol Road CIA, and the appointments are before us. So we'll begin with trustee Carol Pfaff-Dow, supervisor's representative with the term expiring of November 2024. Can I get a motion?
I move that we appoint Carol Pfaff-Dow as the representative to the Bristol Road CIA.
Is there a second?
Support. Vert.
Any discussion? Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Okay. Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Mrs. Pfaff-Dow,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Klee,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
motion carries.
Next is Alicia Gibbons, term to expire 4/24.
Clee would move that we appoint Alicia from Donna's Donuts as the 4-year term as secretary.
Is there a second?
Second.
Campbell seconds. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mrs. Pfaff-Dow,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Klee,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Next would be Brad Kierfin from Kierfin's, what is it, Party Store? Kierfin's Market, with the term to expire 4/25.
Clee would move that we appoint Bradley Kerfan to the chair of the Bristol Road corridor, representing both.
I think they choose their own chairs, if I'm not mistaken. We're just
Okay.
appointing them.
Okay,
Is
then
that right,
I'll-
Tracy?
Tracy, did I make a mistake there? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I
Sorry,
think-
yes, I just put those on there so that you know what position they're serving on right now. They will
That's-
have to do elections at their March meeting this year.
Okay.
But yeah,
right.
he serves as the chairman currently. And Chris Wheeler, who is the next person, serves as the vice chairman.
Gotcha. All right.
So you're just confirming the reappointment.
I move that Bradley Kerfan from Kerfan's Market, representing, I'm sure, both of his and his brother's market is reappointed to the Bristol Road Corridor.
Is there a second to the motion?
Anderson supports.
Any discussion? Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Second. Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Clee,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Mrs. Pfaff-Dahl,
Yes.
motion carries.
Last would be Chris Wheeler from Financial Plus with a term to expire of 4/25. Can I get a motion, please?
Anderson makes a motion that we accept the appointment for Chris Wheeler from Financial Plus for a 4-year term to expire April of 2025.
Is there a second to the motion?
Vert Sports.
Any discussion? Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Clee,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Mrs. Pfaff-Dahl,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. The next on the list is number 4, the appointments to the DDA. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 names here. The first would be a representative from the Township Board, a supervisor's representative, Trustee Deb Campbell. I need a motion, please.
Anderson makes a motion that we accept the reappointment for Deb Campbell to serve on the Flint Township DDA Board with the term expiring in November of 2024.
So hers would just be an appointment, first time. So thank you. Is there a second?
Clee would support that.
Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Clee,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Mrs. Pfaff-Dahl,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
motion carries.
Next is John Gazelle. Can I get a motion?
I move that we appoint John Gazelle from Gazelle, Lewis and Associates to a 4-year term on the DDA expiring April 24. April
Support.
2024.
Is there a
Support.
second? Oh,
Second.
Kathy moved, and then who's supporting?
Campbell.
Campbell, thank you. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mr. Clee,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Mrs. Pfaff-Dahl,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes.
Next is Joni O'Sullivan, Butler. Will someone make a motion?
Clee moves that we accept Joni O'Sullivan Butler for the appointment to the Flint Township DDA.
With an expiration date of 4/2025.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a second?
Pfaff-Dahl supports.
Any discussion? Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Mrs. Pfaff-Dahl,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Clee,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Next one is Nino Sapone from Bishop Airport with a term to expire 4/2024. Can I get a motion?
Anderson would make a motion that we appoint Nino Sapone from Bishop International Airport for a 4-year term to expire April of 2024.
Is there a second to the motion?
Support Campbell.
Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Mrs. Pfaff-Doll,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes, Mr. Klee,
Sorry. Yes, I clicked something wrong. My fault.
Ms. Campbell,
you go.
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. We go on to number 5 is the EDC, Economic Development Corporation Board appointments. We have them here. So we'll do those one at a time. We'll start with supervisor's representative would be.
Karen, what about Wood Cooper? What about
But with
the,
Cooper.
I apologize. My eyes
Okay.
are starting to hurt.
Yep. we skipped Coop.
Do we have a motion for Mr. Cooper?
Clee would move that we accept Win Cooper.
Is there, and his term would expire in April of 2025. Is there a second to the motion?
Sport. Vert.
Any further discussion?
My computer locked up. Sorry.
We can hear you. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mrs. Pfaff-Doll,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes, Mr. Klee,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
yes.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
motion carries.
Already back to number 5 with the EDC board. The first to be appointed would be trustee Carol Pfaff-Doll, supervisor's representative with the term expiring in November of 2024.
Funk moves that we appoint trustee Carol Pfaff-Doll as the supervisor's representative to the EDC with a term expiring November 2024.
Is there a second to the motion?
Clee would support that.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Okay, just a second.
I do have a question.
Yes.
That term, why is that one 4 years and the others are 3 years? And is it when we all came on at the same time, or did she come a year after us?
Because I think as a supervisor's representative, correct me if I'm wrong here, Tracy, that's a 4-year term, just like the other ones. But these, like for you, Lisa, it'll end in 23. We'll have to reappoint you for, I noticed that,
The issue was, the issue was that they filled spots that were there, but their original term couldn't go past their term of office. So while their term should have went to 21 and 23, if they were not an elected official, that's where those would have been. They would have went past. So they're just filling the rest of that term. The supervisor's term is only 4 year. It can't go past her expiration date. I think EDC board is actually a 6-year term. That's why it's so odd when you get elected officials in the spots, because we have to mess with the term dates. So what'll happen was actually, I mean, you could.
we lost you.
Sorry about that. You could name them all through 2024, and I would just have to keep track of the expiration date if they went off and you put a regular resident on. That's all. It's not a big deal. We can do all 3 of them through 2024. And then it's done until 2024. That's fine if you want to do that.
So we're with Lisa Anderson, right?
Yeah.
Or is that what we're voting on, or do we have a motion?
I think you were doing the supervisor one first.
Yes,
Yeah.
we're doing Carol Pfaff-Doll. I made the motion and Clee seconded.
Yeah, we were just on discussion. I was just trying to get a clarification on it.
Sure.
I can live with it either way. I'm okay either way.
We can take it to the end of the board. So roll call, please, Madam Clerk, on trustee Carol Pfaff-Doll, supervisor representative with the term expiring 11 of 2024.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes, Mr. Klee,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Mrs. Pfaff-Doll.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next is Treasurer Lisa Anderson. We can have her term expire at 11 of 24. Do we have a motion?
Motion to support Treasurer Lisa Anderson to the EDC with the expiration, we're moving it to November of
2024.
2024.
Is there a second to the motion?
Clee would support trustee Vert's move.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, Madam Clerk?
Ms.
Please.
Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Klee,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Mrs. Pfaff-Doll,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next would be trustee Barb Vert with a term to expire of 11 of 2024. Someone wants to make a motion?
Clee would move that we sorry about that. Deb, I didn't mean to go over you. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
All right. Clee would move that we support the reappointment of trustee Vert with the only change is that her appointment would go until the end of her elected term of November of 24.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Klee,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Mrs. Pfaff-Doll,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Last is Dave Huffman for a term to expire of 11 of 2026. A motion's in order.
Funk moves that we appoint Dave Huffman to the EDC for a term expiring November 2026.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mr. Klee,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Mrs. Pfaff-Doll,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, I'm sorry, Mrs. Anderson.
Yes.
This is getting confusing. Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Motion carries.
So now we move on to the Building Authority Board appointments. And you have the information before you. So appointments being presented, let me go to the resolution. Be to appoint Tracy Tucker for a term to expire of June of 2022. A motion is necessary.
Funk moves it. Whoops, go ahead. Whoever wants to can jump in. I don't have to make it.
Go ahead, Kathy.
Okay. Funk moves that we appoint Tracy Tucker.
Is there a
to
second? Oh, sorry.
the, Building Authority Board on term expiring June 2022.
Sorry, Kathy. Is there a second?
Support Pfaff-Doll.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Mrs. Pfaff-Doll,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk. Yes. Yes, I am Mrs. I'm working up a sweat doing this here. Mr. Klee,
Yes.
motion carries.
Next would be John Gazelle to a term to expire on April of 23.
Campbell, I motion that we reappoint John Gazelle until April of 23.
Is there a second?
Support.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Mrs. Pfaff-Doll,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk. Yes. Mr. Klee,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Next is Kevin McIntyre for a term to expire of 4 of 24.
I move that we appoint Kevin McIntyre to serve on the Building Authority Board through April 2024.
Support Vert.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mrs. Pfaff,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Klee,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
motion carries. Hang on
Randy
just one
Kil-
second.
Elvis has left the building.
I had to let my little helper out. Okay.
Randy Kilbreth for a term to expire April of 2023.
Please so moves that we reappoint Randy Kilbreth to his appointment until April of 23.
Is there a second?
Anderson, support.
Any discussion? Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Klee,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Mrs. Pfaff,
Yes.
motion carries.
And Treasurer Lisa Anderson for a term to expire 6 of 23.
I got a question. Can we make that until the end of the term again to November of 24?
Tracy, is that okay? I don't see a reason why. It's 6 months. 5 months. July, August, September, October. 5 months.
No, it's
Tracy?
Sorry, I
The-
couldn't
yeah, it'd be
unmute
a
for some
year.
reason.
Year and a half.
The reason that's
Mhm.
at 6/20/23 is that's not actually a board position. That is fluctuated between being
You
a
can sit here.
resident and being a board position over the years. Yeah, I don't think it matters if you change it, just as long as we keep the record to reflect, what the terms are. I mean, we can list her through her full term. I don't think it hurts anything.
So do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we reappoint Treasurer Anderson, term ending November of 24.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Vert.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Klee,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Mrs. Pfaff,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Number 7 is Fire Commissioner appointment. Trustee Tom Clee served as our Fire Commissioner over the last 4 years. And I'm recommending that we reappoint him to Fire Commissioner position for the next 4 years.
Funk
I
moves
have a
that we,
question.
whoops.
Can we get a motion first? Go ahead.
Funk moves that we reappoint trustee Tom Clee to the position of Fire Commissioner.
Is there a second?
Second.
Go ahead, Trustee Vert.
I had a question as to, there's been some discussion, I should say, in regards to what this actually is. What is this appointment or whatever? And I know that the police chief in the past has said it was unnecessary. And I wanted to know what Kevin Salter had thought about it this time again too, because nobody can figure out exactly what this is, other than just a title.
So in the past, it was Chief Sippert who requested that we not fill the police commissioner's position. And you asking Chief Salter, are you still with us, Chief? I don't think so.
I mean, I guess I would like to see it tabled or something. I mean, because I just don't see the purpose in it. And I know I'm not the only one that has questioned that.
Are you making, go ahead.
Supervisor Miller,
Yeah.
if I may, years ago, and I don't know if this is still what you guys are using it for, we used that as just basically a liaison between the fire department and the board. And so if there were issues that they wanted brought to the board level, or that they wanted brought to board members, they would go to Tom or to whoever the fire commissioner was. It's I don't know what they're using for it now. That's what they used it for in the past. Just FYI.
So we have a motion and a second. Are you requesting to postpone this, trustee Vert?
I am.
So you'd have to make that motion and get a second.
Then I would like to make the motion to postpone this at this time for further information, and I actually don't think we need it.
Is there a second to the motion?
Anderson supported.
So now we're going to vote on whether or not we're approving to postpone this appointment. Madam Clerk, roll call, please. Oh, any other discussion?
Well, somebody's researching. Is somebody looking like where the write-up is on it? I thought that's what I was waiting for. So if it's out there, I'd like to see that.
All right.
I texted Chief Salter to see if we could get him back on the line, since he is acting fire chief right now.
So we can vote on the motion to postpone right now, and hopefully he'll jump back on. Madam Clerk, roll call, please, to postpone the motion to postpone this appointment.
Mrs. Funk, no. Mr. Klee,
Tom?
I said no.
oh, I'm sorry.
We didn't hear you.
Miss Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Mrs. Fafdal,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller.
No. So
Motion
we have,
carries.
thank you. We're going to postpone this. We'll bring it back in the first meeting in January because we have a few more appointments then. So in the meantime, we'll ask Chief Salter to help research the duties and responsibilities of the fire commissioner. We move on to action, or number 8 is.
He's here, Karen, like he's ready to talk.
But we just postponed it.
I know he missed it all. Maybe we could just tell him it got postponed or tabled.
Chief Salter.
Yes, ma'am.
We have, at this moment, postponed appointing the fire commissioner, making the appointment. We're going to bring it back to our next meeting. The question was the duties, the responsibilities, the purpose of fire commissioner. And I don't know if you're ready to speak now, but you can, or we can do some research and bring it back.
Okay. It's always good to do research, but I can speak for Tom. Tom has always been a proponent for the fire department. I think he always works well with the fire department and making sure, especially back in the day, making sure they had a voice. So I guess I got to research exactly what
the responsibilities,
responsibilities are. But again, I know Tom's always does what's best for the township and for the fire department. It's always been public safety first for him.
Okay, so Madam Clerk, we'll put that on the agenda for January 4th, and we'll get the information in the board packet.
Okay, I also want to add to what Chief Salter said. There's no compensation here. Tom volunteers for this, so I just wanted to add that in there.
Well, I just wanted to say too that there's been a lot of discussion. Some people aren't speaking up or whatever, but it was just, where is it and what exactly it is? Because I think Salter, whether it be the fire chief or the police chief, has had a good rapport with the board, all the board members. So if it's just a title, what do you do with that? So it was just a question, and to try and figure that out. In the past, maybe it was needed, but maybe not right now at this day and time that it is. It's just a question. That's all. No more, no less.
We'll bring it back at the next meeting. We'll move on to number 8 is election commission appointments. We have 2 names on here to appoint to the election commission. We'll start with Deb Campbell, and that, Kathy, let me go back down here. Is that for the entire 4 years?
Yes, it is.
11 of 2024. A
Yes.
motion is in order.
I move that we appoint Deb Campbell to the Election Commission.
Is there a second?
We would second that.
Mark Anderson, support.
I think it was Tom Clee who got in there. So we have a motion and support. Any discussion? Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Clee,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Mrs. Pfaff-Dahl,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Motion carries.
Thank you. Next is trustee Tom Clee for
I
an
just have a
appointment.
question.
Yeah.
I noticed that, wasn't trustee Vert on this committee before?
Yes.
Is there a reason that she's not up for reelection?
Not reasons that I want to bring forth in this public meeting.
Okay. I guess I just thought everybody else had a chance to get reelected on the other appointment, so I was just curious why her name wasn't on there.
Excuse me.
Are we ready to move forward? I need a motion for trustee Tom Clee to be on the election commission with the expiration of the term being 11 of 2024. A motion, please.
Funk moves that we appoint Tom Clee to the Election Commission to a term ending November 2024.
Is there a second to the motion?
Campbell, second.
Ma'am, any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Vert,
No.
Mrs. Pfaff-Dahl,
No.
Mrs. Anderson,
No.
Ms. Miller,
No.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Clee.
Yes.
Okay, at the next meeting, I'll make it known as to why I chose not to go into why Mrs. Vert was not being asked.
But this
I'd like
board
to
can
make
make,
a motion that we reappoint Barb Vert to the Election Commission for the term to expire in November 2024.
is there a second to the motion?
Support.
Any discussion?
Yes. This was on the recommendation of the Bureau of Elections that Mrs. Vert be removed. Actually, she should have been removed in August. I followed Peter Goodstein's advice and waited. And so this is on the recommendation of the Bureau of Elections. I can go into it much further than that, but I'm trying to save some people some embarrassment here.
Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please, on the motion to appoint Barb Vert to the Election Commission for a term expiring 11 of 24.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Mrs. Pfaff-Dahl,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, no. Mr. Clee,
No.
Ms. Campbell,
Do I have to vote?
yes.
You're obligated to.
Yes.
Thank you. We'll move on to act number 9 is to appoint the supervisor to the Genesee County Stormwater Advisory Committee.
Anderson make a motion that we appoint Supervisor Miller to the Genesee County Stormwater Advisory Committee.
Is there a second?
Campbell,
Support.
second.
That's for the term, the 4-year term. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mrs. Pfaff-Dahl,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Clee,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Byrd,
Yes.
motion carries.
Next is Genesee County Roads and Bridges Committee appointment for Supervisor Miller to serve for the until November of 2024. A motion is in order, please.
Anderson moves that we reappoint Supervisor Miller to the Genesee County Roads and Bridges Committee for, to expire in November of 2024. Is that a four-year
Is there-
term as well?
Is there a second?
We would support that.
Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Clee,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Mrs. Pfaff-Dow.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion
Next is 911 Consortium appointment, and that would be for me as supervisor also for the next term. Can I get a motion, please?
We would support that we reappoint Madam Supervisor to the 911 Consortium.
Is there a second?
Pfaff-Dow supports.
Any discussion? I'm on the executive committee, just to let you know. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Clee,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Mrs. Pfaff-Dow,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
motion carries.
This next one is for Metro Alliance appointments, and Supervisor Miller for appointment as the elected official to the Metro Alliance, please. It's for the 4-year term. A motion?
Looking at all the names, are we doing this individually again?
It
That
was
was my question. Were we gonna do all four, or we're gonna do them individually?
it was requested that we do these individually.
It doesn't matter how long the meeting takes. We're here for the residents. And it was requested. I think we should finish it out.
So a motion is in order.
Clee would move that Supervisor Karen Miller be reappointed to the Metropolitan.
Second.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Clee,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Ms. Miller, I'm
Yes.
sorry. Mrs. Pfaff-Dow,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
motion carries.
Next would be the appointment of Mike Pifer to the TAC committee.
I make a motion to put Mike Pifer on, would you call it the TAC committee?
Yes, the Technical Advisory Committee.
Okay.
Pfaff-Dow supports.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mr. Clee,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Mrs. Pfaff-Dow,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Motion carries.
Next is John Whiteside, who would attend the Metro Alliance meetings.
Mrs. Funk wholeheartedly supports Mr. Whiteside.
Is there a second?
Support.
I'll second that. Oh, sorry. Support by Trustee Vert. And John, we appreciate you attending those meetings because it brings information back to our road advisory. Thank you. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Mrs. Pfaff-Dow,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Clee,
Yes.
Last would be Tracy Tucker as an alternate to the County Planning Commission.
I make a motion that we appoint Tracy Tucker as an alternate to the County Planning Commission.
All supports.
Is there any further discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Mrs. Pfaff-Doll,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes, Mr. Klee,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
motion carries.
Number 13 is appointment of the supervisor to the Water and Waste Advisory Committee. It's a 4-year term.
I make a motion that we reappoint Supervisor Miller as the township representative to the Genesee County Water and Waste Division for a 4-year term.
Is there a second?
Support Campbell.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Mrs. Pfaff-Doll,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes, Mr. Klee,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
So number 12, well, we got our numbers mixed up here. Announcements. Our next, Madam Clerk, did you want to announce?
I have nothing to announce.
So our
Except
next
our
meeting
next
will,
board meeting is January 4th, 2021.
thank you. And if there's no further business and without objection, we'll call this meeting adjourned and we'll see you in the new year.
Merry
Thank you
Christmas,
for
Happy New Year.
Bye. Happy New
sticking
Year.
with us. Happy New Year. Merry
Be safe.
Christmas.
Happy New Year. Merry
Christmas.